Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody. Yeah. Thanks, Tasya Prem. First opportunity to give a Bhagavatam class. So, yeah. Seeking everybody's blessings that I say something useful, something of value, and something that's actually in alignment with the scriptures. I don't just concoct any nonsense. So, thank you all for your kind blessings. And it's 7.5, Canto 7, Chapter 5, verse 23 through 24, correct? Chapter 1, Chapter 1.
Text 22 and 23.
Yes, text 22, 23. All right. Sri Badaraya Nir Uvacha. Oh yeah, I did that before. Right after the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So you be my guide, Dasi Prem. Catch me if I fuddle anything. Sri Badaraya Uvacha. Ragyastad Vacha Akarnya. Narado Bhagavan Rishi. Tustabrahatam Abhyasyam. Shrinvatyas Tad Sadakata. Ragyastad Vacha Akarnya. Narado Bhagavan Rishi. Tushtaprahatam Abhasya. Shinvatyas Tad Sadakata. Actually, since the next verse is the one with the purport, I'll just go through this one and then we can repeat that. How does that sound? Okay. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, after hearing the request of Maharaj Yudhishthir, Narada Muni, the most powerful spiritual master who knew everything, was very pleased. Thus he replied in the presence of everyone taking part in the yajna. Sri Narada Uvacha Nidana Stava Satkara Nyakarartham Kalevaram Padana Parayo Rajan Avivekena Kalpitam Nindanastava Satkara Nyakarartham Kalevaram Padana Parayo Rajan Avivekena Kalpitam Nindanastava Satkara Nyakarartham Kalevaram Pradana Parayo Rajan Avivekena Kalpitam Indanastava Satkara Nyakarartham Kalevaram Kalpitam Srinarada Uvacha Nindanastava Satkara Kalevaram Pradana Parayo Rajan Avivekena kalpitam Stavasatkara Nyakara Thavalekro Pradana Parayorajan Avivekena kalpitam Srinarada Uvacha Srinarada Muni said, Nindana, blasphemy, Stava, praise, Satkara, honor, Nyakara, dishonor, Artham, for the purpose of Kalevaram, body, Pradana Parayo, of nature and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rajan, O King, Avivekana, without discrimination, Kalpitam, created. Translation. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Sri Naradaji said, O King, blasphemy and praise, chastisement and respect are experienced because of ignorance. The body of the conditioned soul is planned by the Lord for suffering in the material world through the agency of the external energy. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 18.61, it is said, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe juna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. A material body is manufactured by the external energy according to the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conditioned soul, being seated on this machine, wanders throughout the universe, and because of his bodily conception of life, he only suffers. Actually, the suffering of being blasphemed and the enjoyment of being praised, the acceptance of a good welcome, or of chastisement by harsh words, are felt in the material conception of life. But since the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not material, but Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, he is unaffected by insults or greetings, blasphemy, or prayers. Being always unaffected and complete, he does not feel extra pleasure when offered nice prayers by the devotee, although the devotee benefits by offering prayers to the Lord. Indeed, the Lord is very kind to his so-called enemy, because one who always thinks of the personality of Godhead as an enemy also benefits, although he thinks of the Lord adversely. If a conditioned soul, thinking of the Lord as an enemy or a friend, somehow or other becomes attached to the Lord, he receives great benefit. And again, seeking blessings of everyone here that I can say something, everyone online and in person, that is of value to the assembled audience. So here we have Narada Muni talking to Yudhishthir Maharaj. And we know at the beginning of the chapter, it's a question from Parikshit Maharaj to Shukadev Goswami, asking about how is it that the Lord is impartial if he's killing Indra's enemies? How is that an impartial act? The actual verse itself, he says, My dear Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of Godhood, Vishnu, being everyone's well-wisher, is equal and extremely dear to everyone. How then did he become partial, like a common man, for the sake of Indra, and thus kill Indra's enemies? How can a person equal to everyone be partial to some and inimical to others? So this conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni is actually part of Sukadeva Goswami's response, because Yudhishthira asked a similar question. He asked, how is it that Shishupal, even though his entire life from before he could speak, he was blaspheming the Lord, ended up merging into the body of the Lord, which kind of highlights that impartiality. The Lord, it doesn't matter if you blaspheme him or if you praise him. Ultimately, if you meditate on him and you're absorbed in him, you'll get benefit, regardless whether he doesn't, it's not based on him liking you or you being a friend or so to him. And so this this well, the response, I'm not going to go into it because it's actually in the 25th and 26th verses of this chapter. So I'll let whoever comes after answer that. Instead, I'll go into the verse itself. Blasphemy and praise, chastisement and respect are experienced because of ignorance. So all this is leading up to Narada Muni kind of explaining how the Lord cannot be impartial. The Lord cannot be partial because he's not affected by dualities. And this whole partiality thing, friends and enemies, all of that's based on material conception. Even in the purport, it says, the Lord is not material, but Satchit Ananda Vigraha. So he's not affected by insults or greetings. So it's almost like it's impossible for him to be partial because he's spiritual by nature. And being spiritual by nature, he's not affected by that type of contamination. And so it's interesting, the suffering of being blasphemed and the enjoyment of being praised, the acceptance of good welcome or of chastisement by harsh words are felt in the material conception of life. That's what Prabhupada states in the purport. And I was thinking about like conception of life, material conception of life, right? What does that mean? So, like a conception is all of the ideas and beliefs that you have about something, in this case, ourselves. And a material conception is believing that we're matter. I'm this body. And also, as seeing the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions that this material consciousness is I am the Lord, or I am the Lord of all I survey. I am the creator and I am the enjoyer. So these two things are material conception. When you think I'm this body, I'm made of matter, and when you think I'm the enjoyer and I'm the creator. And so this is also, it's called conditioned, and it's the cause of all suffering. It said, I don't remember exactly where, but our material body is the cause of our suffering. So blaspheming, feeling any kind of negative emotion because someone comes and says something negative to you, like, oh, you can't get anything right, you're such a fool, you're not intelligent, you're useless, all these things. The only reason that we care is because we attach to our bodies. They're not speaking about the soul. The soul is pure and full of knowledge by nature. So if somebody says you're a moron, it's like they can't be talking about you because you're full of knowledge by nature. Krishna says it. And Krishna can't be wrong because he's God. So when people say these things to us, they're not talking about us. They're talking about this vehicle. And like if someone says your car is ugly, it's like, okay, so what? Some people actually get offended by that too. They'll start a fight. And this is the grossest ignorance, to fight over your own possessions, not even your body, but your stuff. How could you insult my things? How could you say my shoes are like this? How can you say that you don't know me? But in reality, if we understand, if we're actually on that, what do they call it? Brahma Bhuta platform, if we realize our spiritual nature, you're not bothered by that. And then you can actually be impartial like the Lord. Another thing is, eh, if we think that we're God in part or in whole, and in a sense, I guess you could say we're all guilty of that, because why do we take a body? We take a body to enjoy. And why do we want to enjoy? Because we're not satisfied being a part of the Lord's enjoyment. Say, hey, Krishna, I see you having all this fun with all this stuff, but I kind of want to enjoy too. I want a girlfriend. I want to have my own stuff. I want to have my own story. And so the Lord's so kind. He's impartial. He says, okay, you can have that. but you have to do it over there in the material world. In one sense, we're kind of like cancer cells. In cancer is a part of your body and it's all working for this one organism. Every organ is made of cells and they're all working in harmony. But sometimes one cell says, hey, I want to do my own thing. And it decides to, well, do just that. It just multiplies and takes all the resources, multiplies and kills you. We can't kill God. He's infinite. And spirit can't die. But he's so kind. He says, hey, I know you're going against my rules, but I don't mind. I want you to be happy. So you can go be happy in the material world. And so we come down here and we get a material body and we get to make our own story. Unfortunately, by coming in touch with the material nature, we become attached to the body and we slowly but surely over lifetimes forget our own souls and forget about God and become trapped. And actually this suffering or this material world, it's kind of impossible to escape in a sense because we come to enjoy, and by trying to enjoy separate from God, there are reactions. And then these reactions, either we try to mitigate them, or if we're really foolish, we just ignore them and continue trying to enjoy. And in that way, we get bound up in more reactions. And by feeding the senses, we're just identifying more with our body. Some people get really intelligent and say, this is all so miserable. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And they try to stop it. But what is that? They say, Ananda Mayo Vyasat, we're pleasure seeking by nature. And then there's that nice verse where the Lord says, nobody can stop acting, not even for a moment. And so if we try to enjoy without God, we get trapped in the material nature. If we get in touch with this material nature and we start to, pretty much if we come into this world, then we get bound up in the reactions of our actions. We try to enjoy our senses. We get more caught up in this idea of I am this body and this enjoyment is of value to me. We start to forget our relationship with God. We get punished. We either try to mitigate those punishments, or if we're foolish, we just try to ignore it. We try to ignore them and continue to serve our senses. And lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, all of these impressions just follow us. All of the enjoyments we have get more and more deeply ingrained in our subtle body, and we become very much trapped by our own desires. And even if we become intelligent and say, I don't want to suffer anymore, and we try to stop it, we're pleasure seeking by nature. It's just part of our what we are as souls. And so we'll be pushed to try to find pleasure or get rid of suffering. And because it's not connected to Krishna, it gives reactions. And so more and more we just get stuck, bound up. It's like a catch-22. You can't escape because you have to do something, but everything you do gets you more bound up in this trap of material existence. And so we only actually just end up suffering. I believe in the purport, Prabhupada says that because of his bodily conception of life, he only suffers. Even our so-called enjoyments are suffering because they ultimately come with a reaction and they make it harder to get out. And so we already know from Bhagavad Gita in the introduction, even Prabhupada says, Bhagavad Gita was spoken to get us out of the material conception of life. Because the end of our suffering starts by realizing we're not the body. Only the body experiences suffering, can experience, and only the material, only being attached to the body, only believing yourself to be the body can lead to you feeling or experiencing suffering. Blasphemy, and praise, chastisement, and respect, all these things, all of it is just in relation to the physical machine. And if we're on the spiritual platform, if we realize our true nature, we're aloof. We don't really, we know what we are and we see this isn't related to me. It has nothing to do with me. I don't have to, I don't have to feel any way about this. It's, it's related to something temporary. Who cares? It also mentions what all these things are experienced because of ignorance. And there was another purport where Prabhupada mentions that knowledge, which is, of course, the opposite of ignorance, means to know matter, spirit, and the controller of both. So again, same point. If you know that I'm a soul seated on a material machine, and this machine isn't me. And then if you also know I'm connected to Krishna, I'm not even supposed to be here, then that knowledge will protect you from any kind of suffering that you could experience in this world. And it's interesting too, I saw that kind of on the original point, it's impossible to get out, but there's that verse, Lord Chaitanya says, the living entities are wandering through this material world. But if by some fortune they come across a guru, then in that way they can get the creeper of devotional service planted in their heart. And so that's really at the point where you start to get out of this infinite cycle of birth and death, is by the spiritual master, by your good fortune coming into your life and you listening to them. It all starts with hearing Shravanam, hearing them submissively and getting that little seed of devotional service in your heart, because that hearing is actually an act of devotion. What is it? The highest form of knowledge is to recognize our true purpose, our true nature as eternal servants of Krishna. What is it? Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, which starts with that hearing process. And then from that point, you can actually start dedicating yourself little by little to Krishna, or at the very least, dedicating yourself to his servant, just by hearing, just by being nice, just by doing something, by asking questions, and gradually get to the point of complete and total knowledge, which comes from the devotional service itself, and Krishna being in the heart. He'll slowly reveal to you that truth. I'm suffering, but this isn't this doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm suffering. I'm experiencing all these difficulties, all these reactions, but this isn't really who I am. I just need to tolerate this. And we see, or I guess we could say it's understood at that point that someone who's wise doesn't take insults or praise personally, knowing that they're not to him. Praise is also a problem. If you take praise, someone says, "You're so great, you sing so well, you know so many shlokas, you're such a beautiful person, you're so talented, this, that, and the third." Again, it's related to the body. Whatever talents we get in this lifetime, whatever assets we get in this lifetime, we can't take them with us. They're all just our karma. And so praise also locks us into our bodily concept, which again goes back into that cycle of suffering. If you believe you're the body, your activities will be done out of relationship with Krishna, which means they'll have reactions. And then again, it's that yo-yo of doing something for your pleasure, suffering the reactions, either trying to mitigate it or trying to enjoy more, and suffering and slowly but surely forgetting Krishna as you go through the endless cycle of birth and death. And so there's another interesting part of the purport. It's mentioned, not the purport, the verse, where Narada says to Yudhishthira, the body of the conditioned soul is planned by the Lord for suffering in the material world through the agency of the external energy. And again, the soul is seated on the machine, as Prabhupada says in the purport, which wanders throughout the universe. And he also mentions the bodily conception of life leads to just suffering. And it's interesting thinking, so this whole material world is just a place for us to suffer. It looks like we're here to enjoy, but really it's a nightmare. Our enjoyment leads to suffering. And even if we don't get suffering immediately, we get more attached to our body. And when the suffering comes, we try to mitigate it because to mitigate the distresses that are coming to our body, which also identify us more with our body. And then eventually we'll get so caught up in that we die in that consciousness. And then the next life, we have all the sufferings from our past life at us, which we have to try to figure out how to undo or how to deal with, while simultaneously still having that enjoying propensity because we're enjoying beings by nature, and forgetting about Krishna every time we take birth in this horrible, horrible cycle. And so, yeah, for a while I had wondered, how is material enjoyment only suffering? I mean, there's a lot of things that are fun, but when you realize that your enjoyment is really just leading you up to nightmares, to more suffering and a longer stay in this prison, it really is only suffering. And also this material world, like before with the little cancer cell analogy, we're here because we're envious of God. God is the supreme enjoyer. We're just meant to cooperate. I saw that in the intro to the Gita also. We're supposed to help him in his enjoyment, you know? Like you see little kids on farms, how they like helping their parents and stuff. They're cooperators. If they say, you know what, I want, I just want to do my own thing in this house and all this food. I just want to eat. I don't want to help you. I want to do my own thing. I'm my own person. Forget you. It's not really going to work. But again, and like Krishna, he's kind. He said, okay, you can do that. I'll let you. But ultimately, we're here because of envy, and he wants us to be pure and to come back to him so we can all enjoy together in essentially in the kingdom of God as one big family. And so the world's meant for suffering, but the suffering, it's not like we're being punished per se. Our suffering is just by the fact that we think we're the body. And so all the things that happen to this body we take personally. It's our suffering. And interestingly, also, Krishna, it doesn't seem like he's personally inflicting suffering. It's just that he directs the material energy. And then she, on his order, is the one who's inflicting her miseries on us. And the one that they mentioned before about, you know, blasphemy and praise, so on and so forth. What is it? It's one of the sufferings of other living entities, which, yeah, yeah, really, all our suffering's because of our body. That's it. Misery. And anything we're going through is just because of our body. Like, we can't actually experience pain. There's that verse, I think it's like 2.14, which says the soul can't be cut, can't be burned, can't be moistened, can't be withered by the wind. And then we know that it's eternal and undying and unchanging and unborn. And we don't, there is no such thing as suffering for a soul. The only thing that's going on is we think we're the body. The body's going through all these changes we don't like, and we're freaking out because of it, because we think we're this thing. And it's engineered expertly by the Lord to try to remind us or to try to get us to ask questions. Who am I? Why am I suffering? What's going on? Like, what is this? Because those questions are the beginning of spiritual life. Asking, what is the purpose of this? Animals can't do that, but we can. We can actually ask these existential questions. And asking these questions makes us submissive. Well, some people become nihilistic, but if we have any pious credit, if we've done anything good for anybody, donated some money to help, the homeless or for a good cause, tried to give in charity, those pious credits on top of this questioning add up to a situation where when the spiritual master comes, we'll inquire submissively instead of going and asking them in a challenging mood. You're giving all this spiritual stuff, but how does that help me? What is this? You'll say, I'm really suffering. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who I am, and I don't know why I have to go through this. I don't even know what the purpose of life is. You seem happy. You seem like you know something. Please tell me. And in that way, you can start really getting into the process of devotional service because you'll hear them. And just by hearing them, you'll get the attention of Krishna. Oh, this person's doing a little devotional service. You know, it's that powerful, really. Devotional service is so powerful, even if you have no idea what you're doing, or even that you are doing something. If you're engaged in it sincerely in a submissive mode, you'll get those credits, and they're eternal. What's that verse? Neha bikramanashosti pratyavayana vidyate. Even a little tiny bit of credit eternally goes in your bank account. It goes with you through every single lifetime. So even if you hear and you say, wow, this sadhu has such great insights. I never thought like that. This is so nice. And then you forget about it and go back to your nonsense the next lifetime. Those credits will add up. When somebody else comes in your life, you'll be able to hear them or do a little more service and you get a little more credits. So yes, all the suffering is just pushing us forward. It's like a forcing function, you know. Sometimes you need to put, well, actually, we always need a push to do things because it's like this world by nature just degrades you and pushes you into ignorance. And ignorance means sleep, right? Ignorance means sleep, madness. So you need a push upwards, and that push is suffering. That push is suffering. It pushes you towards asking those questions. Asking those questions on top of doing some kind of pious activity, known or unknown, leads to that humility. And that humility leads to an open ear. An open ear leads to Shravanam. Shravanam is that service, and then that can turn into faith. Uh, so, yeah, I since 7:38, I can open for questions if anybody has anything that they want to ask.
Thank you, Prabhu. No questions today, but I appreciate your differential equations reference.
The Bhagavad Gita was quoted in the purport, where the end, Krishna seated in everyone's heart, and he's directing the wonders as if on a machine. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. So we know like 15:15 says the same thing. I'm seated in everyone's heart, and for me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And directing the wanderings, I know there was like a quotation somewhere, but I can't remember. But we want to enjoy, we can't do anything on our own. These bodies aren't ours. This is the material energy. This is Krishna's too. Our mind is also material, it's Krishna's. Our intelligence is also material. The only thing we have is desires. We're just little tiny atomic pockets of desire. And Krishna is the one who fulfills it all. He gives us the intelligence to do what we want to do, sinful or not sinful. So in some sense, yes, he directs us. Oh, you want to do that? Let me give you the ability. Let me give you the knowledge to do that. Let me give you the facility. Because without him, all we have is desires, no way to fulfill the ghost, you know. So he's the one who gives us the agency to do all these things. And no mind that he allows us to suffer eternally until we ask, why am I doing this? Why do I have this desire to cheat on my wife? Like, these questions are super important because you realize my desires are hurting me. And then he's sitting in your heart like, huh, he's asking questions. Okay, I think I got a guru for you coming your way in X amount of lifetimes, X amount of years, maybe tomorrow. So many people say, you know, I prayed to Jesus so hard. And then the next day I met someone and he gave me a book. Oh, I was waiting for this. Okay, I got you. And he pushes you forward. Like, okay, what are you going to do now? So yeah, he's always directing us, but depending on our level of surrender. So for someone fully surrendered like Prabhupada said, Krishna is talking to me. And his devotee said he was talking to a reporter. He said, yes, Krishna tells me what to do. Even his devotee couldn't understand. He's like, what he means is that super soul in the heart says, no, 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 that's not what I said. I said that Krishna tells me directly what to do. So he directs like indirectly just by giving you facility, or if you surrender fully to him, he'll just tell you what to do. Go there, go talk to this person, do this, do like that. It's incredible, really. He directs as much as we want. He directs everybody, but he can direct in a way where you can see him in everything or in a way where you see him in nothing. Pretty incredible. He can even direct people away from him, like the super atheistic. There was one, Kalaswarup shared that there was one atheist, I won't mention his name, maybe that's rude to do so. And he said, even if I saw God, I wouldn't believe it. I would just say it's a hallucination. And God's giving him that faith and conviction. He's giving him direction to speak like that. He's giving him that boldness. And he just give him a stroke and he can't say anything. So all of it's given by the Lord. Hopefully that answers.
Yeah. What about the second part though? See it as on a machine.
Made of material energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the body, it's just a vehicle. You know, you always hear that quote of the car where just like we're in a car and then at the time of death, we step out. Well, I'm kind of paraphrasing. We step out and step into another car, or usually the thing of clothes. This body is a machine for satisfying or gratifying our senses. That's it. It's just a sense gratification machine until we realize that there's more to life than what we're doing on autopilot, you know? Because really it's autopilot. When we're gratifying our senses, we're doing what the body wants us to do. But when we awaken, when we start to realize the soul's desire to reconnect with the God, with the Lord, essentially, to reconnect with the whole, to reconnect with our true supreme self, then this machine becomes a vehicle for self-realization. So we're just sitting on it. Well, I guess sitting in it. We're in the heart. You know, I don't know if you ever seen what is that? Big O. They have these big machines, like an anime, and a little guy goes inside, and then they go and they start fighting or and whatnot. We're just in a machine. We're sitting in the heart. We're directing it around to either satisfy our senses or to become self-realized. And so that's my understanding of it. Was that
Yeah.
anybody else have any question?
Appreciate your insight of taking something and then into this. Something like that. After. Thank you.
That's the best part. I mean, the more pain you're in, the less you can run away from it. You know, if you have a terminal illness, there's no running. You either go straight down or straight up. There's really no other way because it's just race. If you're too comfortable, then you can run around to so many different options for enjoyment. If you're beautiful and rich and intelligent, you have so many ways to get distracted. But if you're ugly, poor, and terminally ill, what can you do? You can only ask questions. And that's the start of the process of self-realization, is asking questions. So you're actually the luckiest person if you're in that position, if you realize it. If you don't realize it, you're the most unfortunate because then you'll become nihilistic. And then you can, well, things don't usually go up from there. Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
You know, one Maharaj, Keshav Bharti Maharaj, he was very into reading Prabhupada's books. He got really sick. And he said all he had was Prabhupada's books. Like that's the only, like he couldn't do anything. He was just in his hospital bed. And he said in that state of mind, he was just like soaking it up like anything. Really, and he said the message, because he realized that this is all I had at this point. The message is going so deep into him. So I guess we can try. We can. It's almost like maybe we can learn how to go for the easy way. Like we can just like surrender before we get surrender, or else Krishna can make us surrender.
Yeah, that's a kind of mercy too. I mean, I'm too stupid to surrender straight. So he punishes me. And then oh yeah, I forgot. Like somebody said something about this and I didn't take it serious. It works. What is it? The best nectar of instruction. It says first class intelligence is getting experience from hearing. But after that is like seeing, observing the world and seeing it happen. And then exactly having to experience it. But it doesn't matter because the end result is becoming Krishna conscious. Whether you learn the hard way or the easy way, once you've learned it, you've learned it. So at least that's how I try to make myself feel better when I learn the hard way. Yeah. It is nice, isn't it? Like his suffering, he took that to really got a whole lot of very fast advancement because of it. Yeah, I think that's it. 7:45. So thanks all for tolerating. Sorry, I'm a bit long-winded. I'm not very good at this, but I'm learning, I hope. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Good one.